"You're dead to me, Dad. Don't ever call this number again." That was the last thing my son said to me before the line went dead. For 3 years after that, I didn't hear a single word from either of my kids. Every birthday card returned unopened. Every Christmas gift left on the porch until the rain ruined it. I was erased from their lives like I never existed. And the worst part? I didn't do a damn thing wrong. My name is Ryan Carter. I'm a civil engineer, 44 years old, and I used to think I had the kind of life most guys only dream about. My wife, Megan, was smart, beautiful, and worked as a marketing director at a mid-size firm downtown. We had 2 kids, our daughter Haley, who was 19, and finishing up her first year of college, and our son Lucas, 17, a junior in high school. We'd been married for 21 years. Together for 23, if you count the 2 years we dated before I proposed. Haley was my little shadow growing up. She followed me everywhere. When I was out in the garage rebuilding furniture, old dressers, rocking chairs, mid-century credenzas, I'd find at estate sales. She'd be right there handing me sandpaper and asking a million questions. By the time she was 14, she could strip, stain, and refinish a piece better than most adults. She said she wanted to study architecture because of me. That made me prouder than anything. Lucas was closer to his mom. He was into debate and mock trial, had a sharp tongue, and talked about law school the way some kids talk about the NBA. He and I got along fine, but there was always that extra gravitational pull toward Megan. I never resented it. That's just how families work sometimes. Life was good. Routine maybe, but good. Megan and I still laughed together. We still had date nights. I thought we were solid. Then about a month before everything fell apart, Megan started acting different. Not in any dramatic way, just small things. She'd be on her phone and angle it away when I walked by. She started going to the gym more often, sometimes twice a day. She bought new clothes, new perfume, started getting her nails done every week. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe she was just going through one of those phases where you want to feel good about yourself. I asked her once if everything was okay, and she just smiled and said, "Everything's perfect, babe." It was a Thursday evening in October. I came home from work around 6. The house was quiet, no dinner cooking, which was unusual for a Thursday because Megan usually made her pasta bake. I dropped my bag in the hall and went upstairs to change. When I walked into our bedroom, I saw it. Laid out on the bed like a magazine spread, a black cocktail dress, lace underwear I'd never seen before, and a pair of red heels that definitely weren't bought for me. Megan was in the bathroom doing her makeup. Full face, smoky eyes, the works. "Hey, what's the occasion? Are we going out tonight?" I asked, loosening my tie. She didn't even look at me. "We're not going anywhere. I am." Something cold settled in my stomach. "What do you mean?" "I have plans tonight. I probably won't be back until tomorrow morning." "Plans with who?" She finally turned to face me, and what struck me was how calm she looked. Like she was telling me she was picking up groceries. His name is Derek. He's one of the account managers at my office. We've been talking for a while, and I've decided to go out with him tonight. I just stood there. I must have looked like an idiot with my mouth hanging open. "Before you start," she continued, holding up her hand, "this is not a big deal. It's one night, one single night out of 23 years. I need to feel desired by someone new. I need to know I've still got it. Derek is 31, and he thinks I'm gorgeous. Do you know how good that feels at my age? You're out of your mind. I'm being honest with you. I could have snuck around behind your back, but I respect you enough to tell you the truth. So technically, this isn't even cheating." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Megan, listen to me very carefully. If you walk out that door tonight, I am calling a lawyer first thing tomorrow morning. This marriage is over." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Don't be dramatic, Ryan. You're not going to divorce me over one night. Think about what you'd lose. This house, it's in both our names. The kids, they'll side with me, guaranteed. Your retirement, I'll take half. You want to throw all of that away because I want one evening to feel like a woman again? You made vows to me, and I'll keep making them. Tomorrow. Tonight. I just need this. If you walk out that door, you'll what?" She crossed her arms. "You'll sit here and sulk and then realize you overreacted. That's what you'll do. Because you're a reasonable man, Ryan. It's one of the things I love about you." I tried one more time. I swallowed every ounce of pride I had, and I asked her, begged her, really to stay. I told her we could go to counseling. I told her whatever she was feeling, we could work through it together. She kissed me on the forehead like I was a child having a tantrum and said, "I'll see you in the morning, sweetheart." A car honked outside. She grabbed her clutch, checked herself in the hallway mirror one last time, and walked out. I sat in the dark for probably an hour. I cried. I'm not ashamed to admit that. 23 years. I gave that woman everything I had, and she walked out to sleep with some 31-year-old kid from her office like she was running an errand. But here's the thing about me. I don't sit still when I'm hurting. I get to work. By midnight, I had transferred exactly half of every joint account into my personal savings. I canceled every shared credit card. I went online and scheduled a consultation with the best divorce attorney in the county for Friday afternoon. I moved all my clothes and personal items into the guest bedroom. Then I sat down at my desk, poured myself 3 fingers of bourbon, and started researching divorce law in our state. She came home at 10 the next morning, still in last night's dress, humming to herself. "Good morning, baby. I'm home." I was in the kitchen drinking coffee. I didn't look at her. "Oh, come on, don't do this," she said, walking over to put her arms around me. I stepped back. "Don't touch me. I don't know where you've been." "Actually, I do know where you've been, and that's exactly why I don't want you touching me. Go get yourself tested for every STD they've got a name for." Her face went from sweet to furious in about 2 seconds. "You're being ridiculous. I'm going to take a shower and a nap, and when I wake up, I expect you to have gotten over this little episode." The first real battle came that weekend. I expected her to fight dirty. I didn't expect her to use the kids. Saturday afternoon, Haley and Lucas sat me down in the living room. Megan had already gotten to them. I could tell by the way they looked at me, not with concern, but with irritation. "Dad, Mom told us what happened," Haley started. "She said she was up front with you about it. She didn't sneak around. She told you exactly what she was doing, so it's not really cheating." I felt like I'd been punched. "Haley, she slept with another man." "Yeah, but it was just once. And she told you beforehand. That's literally the opposite of cheating," Lucas chimed in with his future lawyer voice. "Let me ask you something, Lucas. If your girlfriend came to you and said, 'Hey babe, I'm gonna go sleep with some other guy tonight, but don't worry, I'm telling you first so it doesn't count,' you'd be fine with that?" He shifted in his seat but didn't answer. "And Haley, when you get married someday, imagine looking at your husband and hearing him say he needs one night with a younger woman to feel attractive. You'd just smile and say, 'Okay?' That's different, Dad." "How? How is it different?" "Because Mom loves you and she came back. You're the one making this a big deal. You're the one talking about lawyers and moving out. If anyone's breaking up this family, it's you." That's when I realized Megan had already rewritten the story. In her version, she made a tiny, harmless request, and I was the unreasonable monster destroying everything over nothing. Wednesday evening was the ambush. I walked in from work and found both sets of parents sitting in my living room. Megan's folks, Dan and Patricia, I expected. But my own parents, Frank and Beverly Carter, sitting there with cups of coffee looking at me like I was the problem that I did not see coming. My father-in-law went first. "Ryan, we know what happened. We're disappointed in Megan, truly. But son, it was one mistake in over 2 decades. You two have built something beautiful. Don't tear it down over one bad night." Then my own mother. "Honey, we've talked to Megan. She's genuinely remorseful. She swears it'll never happen again. We think you should go to counseling and work through this. Your father and I raised you to fight for your family, not abandon it." I looked at my father. He wouldn't meet my eyes. He just stared at the carpet and nodded along. "So let me get this straight," I said, keeping my voice level even though I was shaking inside. "My wife broke her marriage vows, and all 6 of you, including my own parents, think I should just swallow it and move on. We think you should think about your children," my mother said. "I am thinking about my children. I'm thinking about what kind of example this sets for them." Nobody had an answer for that. I walked out, got in my truck, and drove to a diner across town. I sat there for 3 hours eating bad meatloaf and staring at the wall. The divorce was a war. Megan fought for every single thing, exactly like she promised. She got the house. She got primary custody since both kids said they wanted to stay with her. I got every other weekend visitation that she sabotaged constantly. Lucas had practice. Haley was visiting friends. Something always came up on my weekends, never on hers. I paid $2,400 a month in child support and another $800 in spousal maintenance for 4 years. She kept Derek in the picture, though they didn't officially move in together until the ink was dry. My parents chose their side. Mom called me once to say that Megan and Derek would be joining them for Thanksgiving. "It would just be too uncomfortable if you were there, Ryan. The kids are still upset with you. Maybe you can come by for Christmas Eve instead?" I spent Thanksgiving alone eating takeout Chinese food watching football. I didn't show up for Christmas Eve either. For 3 years I was a ghost. I sent letters, sent gifts, sent checks for the college fund I'd started for Haley. All of it returned or ignored. The only proof my children were still alive was the child support getting cashed every month. I threw myself into work, got promoted twice, bought a fixer-upper on a half-acre lot and spent every evening and weekend turning it into something decent. I built a workshop in the back and started restoring furniture seriously, selling pieces at craft fairs and antique markets on weekends. That's where I met Vanessa. She had a booth 3 spots down from mine at a spring market in Millbrook, selling hand-thrown pottery, red hair, freckles, and a laugh that could fill a room. Her daughter, Sophie, was 12, sharp as a tack, and helped her mom display the pieces with a perfectionist's eye. I learned that Vanessa's ex had cheated on her with his business partner's wife. She caught him, kicked him out the same night, and never looked back. Sophie hadn't spoken to her biological father in 2 years by choice. We started talking. Then we started having coffee after the markets. Then dinner. Then Sophie started calling me Mr. Ryan, which turned into just Ryan. Which eventually, about 6 months after Vanessa and I got married in a small courthouse ceremony, turned into Dad. It was the sweetest sound I'd heard in years. Life got good again. Really good. Vanessa, Sophie, and I built something honest and warm. Friday nights were pottery and woodwork sessions in the garage. Saturdays were markets or hiking. Sundays were big breakfasts and lazy afternoons. Then one Tuesday evening, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. Hello? Daddy? It's Haley. My heart stopped. I have news. I'm getting married. His name is Tyler, and I really want you to be there. Haley, sweetheart, it's so good to hear your voice. Of course, walking you down the aisle would be the greatest honor of my... Oh no, Derek's walking me down the aisle. He's been there for me these past few years. And he's paying for the wedding, so it only makes sense. But I really want you there, Dad. Maybe you could sit in the back so it's not awkward with Mom? Something inside me went very still. Let me make sure I understand. You want the man your mother cheated on me with to walk you down the aisle, and you want me, your actual father, sitting in the back row like a distant relative. Dad, please don't make this difficult. Haley, I can't support that. I won't sit in the back of a church and watch a man who helped destroy my family take my place. And frankly, until you understand what your mother actually did to us, I don't think we're ready to rebuild anything. Mom was right. You're still the same selfish man you've always been. She hung up. I went out to my workshop and sat there staring at a half-finished bookcase. I didn't even hear Sophie come in until she was standing right next to me. I heard the phone call, she said quietly. Do you want me to find her number? What? No, Sophie, it's fine. It's not fine. She called you selfish for not wanting to watch some other man steal your spot at her wedding. That's insane. She paused. Can I have her number? Absolutely not. She gave me a look that was pure Vanessa and walked out. I found out later that Sophie had memorized the number from the caller ID on our kitchen phone. She waited until Vanessa and I were out running errands that Saturday, and she called. Haley told me what happened months later. She said she picked up expecting a vendor callback about flowers. Is this Haley Carter? Said a girl's voice. Yes, who is this? My name is Sophie Carter, I'm your sister. There was a long pause. I'm sorry. What? Your dad married my mom. He adopted me. He's the best father I could ever ask for, and I want you to know that whatever garbage your mom fed you about him is a lie. He cried on my birthday last year because you and your brother weren't there. He keeps your baby photos on his nightstand. He has a college fund he set up for you that you never even acknowledged. And you called him selfish? You should be ashamed of yourself. You don't know anything about what happened. I know everything. My biological father cheated on my mom too. You know what I did? I stood by the parent who kept their vows, not the one who broke them. Your mom cheated. Your dad left because he had self-respect, and instead of seeing that, you punished him for it. If my mom ever cheated on my dad, I'd help him change the locks myself. You have no right. One more thing. When you're standing at that altar, saying your vows about forsaking all others, look into your husband's eyes and imagine him telling you he needs one night with a younger woman. If you can still defend your mom after that, then you deserve exactly the kind of marriage she had. Sophie hung up. Haley said she sat on her bed for 2 hours staring at the wall. 6 weeks later, I was in my workshop on a Saturday afternoon when I heard a car pull into the driveway. I walked around front and stopped dead. A young woman in a wedding dress and a young man in a tuxedo were standing on my porch. My daughter's mascara was streaked down both cheeks. She was shaking. Daddy, please, can we come in? I stepped back and let them inside. Vanessa and Sophie were in the living room. Vanessa's eyes went wide. Vanessa, Sophie, this is my daughter Haley, and I'm guessing this is Tyler? Yes, sir, the young man said, shaking my hand. He had a firm grip and kind eyes. I liked him immediately, despite the circumstances. Okay, I said slowly. Somebody want to tell me why you're in a wedding dress in my living room instead of at a church? Because I stopped the wedding, Haley whispered, right in the middle of the vows. She handed me her phone. Tyler had filmed the whole thing. The video showed a perfectly normal ceremony. Beautiful church. Flowers everywhere, full pews. Derek walking Haley down the aisle with Megan beaming from the front row. The priest began the vows. Haley repeated after him, word for word. until she got to forsaking all others. She stopped. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. She looked into Tyler's eyes and something broke open inside her. You could see it happen in real time. I can't do this, she said on camera, not like this. The murmuring from the guests was immediate. Tyler reached for her hands with concern all over his face. I'm still marrying you, she told him. But not today. Not here. Not with him walking me down the aisle. She turned and pointed at Derek. And not with her in the front row. She pointed at Megan. Megan stood up. Haley Marie, what are you doing? I'm fixing the biggest mistake I ever made, Mom. I should have stood by Dad. And instead, I believed every word you said. I have no idea what you're talking about. Really? Should I tell everyone here about your personal trainer, Jake, who you've been visiting at his condo every Tuesday and Thursday for the past year? Or about Marcus, the contractor who spent way too long remodeling the master bathroom last summer? Derek, did you know about either of them? Because I've got screenshots and I've got photos. The church went dead silent. Derek's face turned white. And before anyone feels sorry for Derek, Haley continued, let's remember that he pursued a married woman with 2 children. He knew exactly what he was doing. You don't get to play the victim when the snake you invited into your house bites you too. She turned back to the guests. I'm sorry, everyone. The reception is already paid for non-refundable deposits, so please go eat, drink, and enjoy yourselves. Derek's got the bill. She took Tyler's hand and they walked back down the aisle together. In my living room, the video ended. Nobody spoke for a long time. Daddy, Haley said, tears streaming again. I was looking into Tyler's eyes and I heard Sophie's voice in my head. Forsaking all others. I saw what Mom did to you. I felt it. For the first time, I actually felt it. And I knew I couldn't stand there with Derek pretending he deserved the honor of giving me away when you, the man who actually earned that honor, were sitting at home alone. I looked at my daughter, my little girl who used to hand me sandpaper in the garage. I'm not asking you to forgive me right away, she continued. I know I don't deserve it. I sided with the wrong person. I said horrible things. I cut you out of my life. There's no excuse for any of it except that I was stupid and I listened to someone who was manipulating me. But Dad, I can't get married without you walking me down that aisle. I won't. I pulled my daughter into a hug for the first time in over 3 years. Sophie appeared at my side. So, do I finally get to meet my sister for real? Haley laughed through her tears and pulled Sophie into the hug. You have the biggest mouth of anyone I've ever met, and I love you for it. Tyler and Haley stayed with us for a week. We set a new wedding date for the following spring. I would pay for it. I would walk her down the aisle. Sophie would be a bridesmaid. Vanessa would sit in the front row. Over the next few months, I learned what had happened in my absence. Megan and Derek's marriage, yes, they'd gotten married too, had been falling apart since before Haley's original wedding. Megan's cheating had escalated significantly. When Haley's video from the church went viral in their social circle, whatever credibility Megan had left evaporated. Derek filed for divorce within a month. Without his income, Megan couldn't keep up with the house. She sold it at a loss and moved into a rental. Lucas eventually came around too, though it took longer. He showed up at my door one Sunday, hands in his pockets, unable to look me in the eye. I was wrong, Dad, about all of it. We're still rebuilding, but we're getting there. My parents called once. My mother said, we'd like to meet Vanessa and Sophie. I told her I'd think about it. I'm still thinking. The new wedding day came on a bright Saturday in April. I stood with my daughter behind the church doors, her arm linked through mine. She was radiant. Ready, sweetheart? I've been ready since the day I showed up on your porch in a wedding dress. The doors opened. I saw Tyler standing at the altar, nervous and happy. I saw Sophie in her bridesmaid dress, beaming. I saw Vanessa in the front row, wiping her eyes already. And there, in the 5th row on the left side, I spotted Megan. Alone. No Derek. No front row seat. Just a woman watching from a distance as everything she threw away played out without her. I walked my daughter down the aisle. When the priest asked, "Who gives this woman in marriage?" I spoke clearly enough for every person in that church to hear. Her father does, with all the love and honor she deserves. I kissed Haley's cheek, placed her hand in Tyler's, and walked to the front pew. I sat down next to my wife. Vanessa squeezed my hand. Haley looked straight into Tyler's eyes. When she reached those 2 words, she didn't hesitate. She didn't stumble. Forsaking all others. She said it like she meant it. Because she did. Sophie leaned over from the bridesmaid line and whispered just loud enough for our row to hear, "That's my sister." Later that evening, after the toasts and the dances and the cake, Megan found me near the bar. She looked older than I remembered. Tired. "That should have been us up there together," she said quietly. Giving her away. As her parents. "It should have been," I agreed. "But you made a choice. It was one night, Ryan. One stupid night. And then it was another night. And another. And another. It was never about one night, Megan. It was about the fact that my feelings meant nothing to you, my vows meant nothing to you. And when I stood up for myself, you turned my own children against me. That's what I can't forgive. She stared at her drink. Do you ever think about what could have been? I used to. Every single day for 3 years. Then I met someone who showed me what actual love looks like, and I stopped looking backward. She nodded slowly, set her glass on the bar, and walked away. That was the last real conversation we ever had. A year later, I was back in that same church. Different bride, but she was just as nervous. Ready, Dad? Sophie asked, gripping my arm. No father is ever ready to let his daughter go, I said. But I'm honored to do it for you. The doors opened, and I walked my youngest down the aisle, just like I'd done for my oldest. Vanessa was crying in the front row. Haley, 7 months pregnant with my first grandchild, was matron of honor, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. When the priest asked, "Who gives this woman?" I said it again, loud and clear. Her father does. Because that's what I am. Not because of blood. Because I showed up. Because I stayed. Because when the world tried to convince me I was the problem, I knew who I was. And my girls knew it too.